Welcome back to the Paranormal Girl podcast. I am your host, Kristen. On our final conversation for the spooky season celebration this year, I welcome back to the show Archbishop and Exorcist Plato Angelakis. Joining him, Sister Keeyah Lynn Frances. Prior to becoming a sister, she was a white witch who worked with divination, automatic writing, and psychic abilities before converting. Utilizing her gift still, she has worked with Plato on various paranormal cases and exorcisms over the years. Working within the independent Catholic Church, they take cases and provide blessings across the country year-round, doing it all with a very open-minded and open arms policy towards the paranormal, psychic gifts, and the like. Their mission? To help those in need and spread education to as many as they can about the value of embracing your gifts in order to help others and the evils that possibly lurk within the darkest corners of the paranormal. Please enjoy my conversation with Father Plato and Sister Keeyah. I have Sister Keeyah Lynn Frances. She is a Holy Order of St. Michael the Archangel Catholic mystic and a Nespar Order of Exorcists Reiki Grand Master and a sensitive, which we will talk about a little bit. And welcoming back to the show is Archbishop and Exorcist Plato Angelakis. He's an independent priest in the Old Roman Catholic Rite, active member of the American Association of Exorcists, Archbishop with the Mexican National Church, and exorcist with the Sacred Order of St. Michael the Archangel. There's so much more to learn about these two. I will let them do it, but please welcome to the show, Sister Keeyah and Father Plato.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on, Sister Keeyah, and also welcome back, Plato. It's really good to see you.
Thank you.
Well, how are you? How are you guys?
No complaints.
Yeah.
Yeah. Busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are definitely going to get into the lot of it. I know we talked quite a bit before recording, which was fabulous. So I hope to share a lot of that with my audience. How about, since Sister, you are new to the show, I would love it if you would just give us, debrief us, tell us about yourself.
Okay. I'm really old.
I disagree.
I'm part of the same church that Father Plato is. So it's an independent Catholic church, which gives us a little bit more freedom in terms of what we're doing. And if someone requires an exorcism, well, that's deemed by Plato. Like, we don't have to go up through any other channels because he's up at the top kind of thing in the church. And he's also a cardinal elect. So our church has 4 cardinals, and if they vote and there is a tie, then they will bring Plato in as a tiebreaker kind of thing. So he works in a cardinal capacity as well as an archbishop. So he's very, very modest, and he doesn't talk about himself very much. So, but just putting that out there. And he was also trained through the Vatican in terms of exorcisms. He studied at the Vatican with their course. Myself, I've always been a sensitive. I had an imaginary friend that I'm quite certain wasn't an imaginary friend. I'm pretty sure I had a little ghost girl that used to hang out with me when I was little. I had a vision when I was quite little of myself in a habit, and I couldn't understand why, because I wasn't Catholic. I lived in the country. I'd never seen a nun in real life, but that's how I was dressed. And I have that memory. And now it's come to pass that I do wear a habit. So it's kind of funny that it came about that way. I didn't see it coming. I was a witch for a long time. And even when I was working with Father, I was a witch because he doesn't discriminate over people who have gifts. And I wasn't like a dark witch. I was a white witch. So I ended up converting because I did actually receive a call to do so, like a calling, and converted at that time because I'm more helpful to him being a member of the Catholic Church during exorcisms than if I was a witch. I can't participate in the rites the same way, you know what I mean, that I can now. And because we're partners, like I'm considered an auxiliary exorcist with him. So also with the church, because I am a clairvoyant as well as an empath, and I have all the clairs, you know, like smelling and tasting and knowing and all that jazz. So they deem you a mystic, and I have the support of 3 archbishops that have signed off on the fact that my gifts are legitimate and it's sealed with the church's seal. So there's not too many of us around in the church that have been deemed a mystic, because people say in the Bible, you know, they quote it that it says, you know, don't go to a medium and, you know, this and that. But the church actually does accept you and your gifts under the right wording and with the right people vouching for you type thing. So that's how I earned the title of mystic. So it just replaces my title as being a clairvoyant or an empath or anything like that. I'm not a medium. I don't see dead people. Fine by me. Not a problem. Like, you know, I have a couple of times.
I'm a nurse. I see dead people all the time.
You're what?
I'm a registered nurse. I see dead people all the time at work.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. I'm
I know.
like floating over your bed 5 feet in the air, you know.
Yeah, your patients aren't floating there. But
yeah, exactly. Nobody's head spinning around like.
Oh gosh.
Not yet.
And unfortunately, the movie The Exorcist, the original one, is more real than made up, you know.
Yeah.
As far as things go, like it's not you know, just a movie, you know, that kind of thing. Like I find it very disturbing because it is so true to life, to what can happen, sort of thing, when we're working in this realm. So
yeah, and it was roughly based on
yeah, except it was a 14-year-old boy. It wasn't a girl. And but being clergy and doing what we do, because basically that's all we do is like cleansings and, you know, getting rid of demonic attachments, possession, oppression, that kind of thing. That's our ministry, and that's all we do. Like, it's not like Plato's out doing weddings all the time. Like, he's an exorcist, and that's what he is. And that's what he was called to do.
Okay.
So that's how we kind of have teamed up, and I ended up converting over the years. He wore me down. I was joking. I'm like, you brought me to the dark side, you know? And it's also very useful to being independent Catholic, because I can use my Reiki that I have. And after an exorcism, I will treat the person to kind of fill that gap of where the low vibrational energy was, or the demon, or whatever you want to label it as being, with high vibrational energy, like almost angelic realm frequencies, and put that into them in order to try and help them from inviting it back in. Because a lot of people feel very empty after it's been removed from them. And I also treat the families that have been in the house having to watch their loved one go through what they've gone through.
Right.
So it's it gives me purpose in terms of that too, because I was like, well, what am I going to do with my Reiki? And I was very skeptical of it in the beginning, because I'm also a registered nurse, and was just kind of like, is this going to work? Like, the concept is kind of not third dimension. You have to be able to really think outside the box. And it's turned out that it's one of the best things that I ever did for myself, because I can really help people through things, you know, including exorcism, using the healing powers that God has, you know, that bestowed through me. And Reiki, a lot of people don't know, one of the names for it is the Christ light. So it's not anything demonic or anything like that, but the Roman Catholic Church doesn't approve of it. So again, we have the freedom to go ahead and use that
Yeah, well, like you were saying, if you read it correctly in the Bible, like they do support the powers to mediumship and clear sight and all of that, but a lot of people, a lot of religious folks, and just in different sects of religion, will say the exact opposite too. They misinterpret that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Well, before I do want to move on to Plato and get a refresher, but before I do, I just wanted to ask you what was your calling?
Initially, I was living in a house that was demonically infested, and I was dealing with that alone. I didn't know anyone. I wasn't part of the paranormal world at that time. So I did a lot of research and I did a lot of studying, and I was like, hey, I'm a witch. Like it clicked with me, it resonated with me. And then once I'd been working with His Eminence for a while, then I did receive a calling to convert and to join the Catholic Church. Not that I have anything against witches. Like I liked being a witch, a white witch. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I enjoyed it and stuff, but I just have had this calling. Like I was having visions about it and getting messages, and so it was like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do,
Okay.
and and took it from there. So
Okay. Okay. All right. Wonderful. Well, Father Archbishop, um, it is so good to see your face this time. We were doing phone last time, but really nice to see you. And I like the what are they? Vestments? What are they called?
Well, just my blacks, it's just my Sunday drag, I call it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right. Well, just as a refresher for my audience, because it's been a little bit, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us about yourself.
Well, registered nurse by trade. I mean, I've done many jobs, but I always had this again. I had this calling to want to be clergy. I wanted to learn to be a priest, and I've tried different ways, and it just wasn't working out. And anyway, at some point in the independent church, I was taken under the wing of one of the archbishops and trained me. I went to a couple of seminaries, did my thing, and long story short, I became a priest. And of course, I was doing marriages, baptismals, funerals, whatnot, blessings at work, and I was happy. I was a hobby more than anything. Then I received a call for in regards to a case, and that a paranormal team had gone in and realized that there was something a little bit more demonic going on. Got a little over their heads and wanted some help. Well, of course, I went there. I took my book, I read it, I did the ritual, and it was an awakening experience because I was not, I was ill prepared myself. So I went there, but as time went on, I decided uh, to embrace that. It was like a calling. Like, this is what I wanted to do, and next thing you know, that's all I'm doing. That's all I've been doing. It's craziness. Just go go go, and of course I met. Keeyah at a fundraiser for a paranormal event, and I remember the people telling me, "Oh, you're not gonna like her. She's psychic. She's a witch, and you're probably not gonna like her. It's not your thing, whatever." And we just connected. It was just
we were
something.
like BFFs by the end of that night. Like
It was, and
everybody was laughing. I'm like, we go together like pagan peas and Catholic carrots,
yeah, it
you
was
know?
like we hooked up, and then of course the team that she was part of sort of dismantled a little bit. They were all kind of went their own way, and then so then I teamed up with Keeyah, and we decided to do things. We figured we'll do some stuff together, and then I was invited to go to the New England Society of Paranormal Research, which is a NESPAR, the and Lorraine Warren team, I was going down to actually discuss a case that they had. No other reason. It just happened to be a Halloween. It happened to be an Annabelle event and dinner and whatnot. And Tony Spare asked me to bless the Occult Museum. So anyway, I asked Keeyah if she wanted to come down with me and join me in meeting the team and talking about a case. And then next thing you know, I'm blessing the museum. He invited me to the dinner, inviting his sister with us as well. And next thing you know, we're members of the team as spiritual advisors. It's so And then now we're the ones who go down and bless the Occult Museum, move the Annabelle doll, and then we're going there in 2 weeks' time to do the exact same thing. Post-COVID, when it says the border was closed, we were not able to go down and do many things. So this is where it just seems to be one thing after the other. I've attended many paracons, did a lot of interviews, and just things seem to be growing. Yeah, and then of course one day Sister Keeyah came to me and said she wanted to convert and be a sister, and I thought, well, I thought she caught me by surprise. I was perfectly happy here being pagan witch. It seemed to complement things because my agenda was, as an independent bishop, is to show people that that people do have gifts from all walks of life, and not to discriminate and utilize them. They're very effective. And so I was perfectly happy with she decided to hang up her broom and decided to join. Fine, no problem.
But I kept my crystal ball because it's pretty.
Good accessory to have.
Yeah, and I have a Ouija board that was carved out of a table from 1903, so I kept that.
Wow.
So it's more of a
tucked away, but
yeah.
I have my memories.
But the broom is in the garage, it's parked, and
turned it off.
Free to come over and sweep anytime you want, Plato. You can just go to town.
Yeah, I know.
and then come over and do the same here, because I got 4 animals, and the hair situation is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I feel you. I have 2 cats, so.
Well, I'm glad you didn't put those away either. Set them aside either.
Well, it's a part of who she is, and she was very very well knowledgeable, and actually it's a great experience to have had, and that knowledge base that she has it really helps, especially at paracons when people talk about how can you two work together and what happened, and it really brings out it really humanizes people and say, well, I have a gift. Don't be afraid. Like embrace it. Like they look at me and they say, "My God, are you okay with my gift?" I'm absolutely, and I want you to cultivate it, and it's a gift from God, and and run with it. Because certainly it's not a gift I have. I'm not a sensitive by any means, right? That I'm sort of the hardball. I'm the guy at the end they bring in. I'm the muscle. They do all they. I usually like
except I go first, and he hides behind me. So.
she is so tall. She gets her boots on, and she's so tall that I can just send her in. I just go behind and go with the holy water. So it's nice having a sister that's taller than me. I can just send her in, and whatever happens,
it's gonna get me first.
Well, yeah, you guys are such an interesting pairing, and you're very, very successful in all of the cases and all of the people that you help. Do you? So from that point forward, have you always specifically worked together? Do you guys kind of branch out and do?
No, we're always together. Like we'll work on different teams and stuff. If people need us. And people have reached out to us and not had anywhere to go. And even during COVID, when we couldn't travel to them, we would help them remotely and, try and send them holy oil and holy water and blessed salt and prayers and go over things, with them. And then in that type of a case, I would do a reading to see if they're lying about something, because sometimes people don't want to be forthcoming with everything they're doing in their lives, and they're aware of that. But yeah, that's what we've been doing since the border was closed. That's how we had to help, and now it's open again, so it gives us a little more freedom to help people out. So
we're back on our feet, and we're back to booking interviews and doing paracons and those sorts of things.
And you guys are growing, as you told me.
Right.
You have a new member. I'm very curious to learn about.
Well, actually, it's kind of ironic how that works. Sister Keeyah, we're like she said, we worked with several people, and I'm not sure this gives you interference or not. That's cross, but anyway, I keep hearing things. So anyway, no, we worked on, for example, one case together through the COVID outbreak, and we sent prayers and whatnot. And then it came that I was invited to an event out near Windsor, Detroit area, and we were supposed to go, but sister got ill and she couldn't attend. So I just went alone, and the event that I was invited to got canceled. So I asked the members there who invited me, well, would you like to join me in this exorcism I have to do, because I'm all alone, really.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a chance to see what goes on, what really it entails, like the whole process. They actually documented. I think they're going to actually put it on. They're planning on doing a documentary and putting that on YouTube at some point as well, because I have consent from the client to do so. We
Mm-hmm.
block out some faces and whatnot, just to show, because they were actually able to see the transformation. The eyes changed, everything. But Sister Lucy was on that team, and she has some Reiki experience. She has some clairvoyancy as well, a little different than what Keeyah does, but on a different level. And she came to me and said she wanted to be a sister, and she wanted to form. So we formed another religious order. So I've got two of them. They're not the same. Sister Keeyah has her own, and so I got two mother superiors, and I got now we're growing, and they're trying to. She's more in the trying to again. It's trying to get away from the patriarchal sort of rule, and trying to allow the people who have gifts to sort of practice those gifts in a sort of safe environment and a safe sort of in scenario. So again, they're both can be very effective and helpful, and I think it's time to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so. And ironically, Sister Keeyah is at one end of the province, and Lucy's at the other end of the province. So I've got both corners. Like, so all I need is two more witches to convert, and I've got four witches of the north, the south, the east, and the west. So I call the wisdom.
You'll have people that can call the corners, call the watchtower.
So it's like I just need a couple of scarecrow and a tin man, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
There's no place like
I don't know which one are you. Which one didn't have a heart? That's you big meanie.
I'm probably the one hiding behind. I'm a scarecrow, so I'm the cowardly lion. No, it's actually great because they, I'm fine. Like with Sister Lucy, she has a YouTube channel, which is great. So everybody has something to offer to put on the table, and it's great that we can diversify, and we can talk about so many things and really branch out. And the thing is, we have no boundaries. We can do what we like and talk about different things. I think Sister Keeyah wants to talk about women in the church.
Yeah, we're going to do a docu-series. It's 3 or 4 episodes of the role of women in the Bible, and including like the saints and the martyrs, and women in general, what their roles were in the Bible, and show that it's not as patriarchal as it's been presented to be. And I mean, it's also been edited. Let's face it. I mean, it's how old is the scripture, right? And when it was
very
written,
very political,
things were different.
Political. Yeah,
and things have been left out of copies that as it gets moved along in history, they've changed.
And you were saying before that women wrote some of the chapters. Is that right?
Oh, many. There were many, Book of Esther, the Book of Mary Magdalene. There was many of the women had their own interpretation of what really went on and what their experience was during the crucifixion and the whole ministry of Jesus for those 3 years that they traveled, because the women traveled with him as well. So there's a lot of history that's starting to come out, and I think people need to know that that this was going on. And like Sister Lucy now, she's also very much into the sort of the galactic, sort of the alien ufology. They're thinking, well, are they demons? Are they not demons? And sort of what's their role? And so I'm getting a lot of people who come up with a lot of different things that they're experiencing.
Sure.
And so I'm starting to really branch out and starting to learn about some of these things that possession is not necessarily demonic. It's possession could be, and some people are saying there's alien infiltration. There's people that are, like the governments are sort of hiding a lot of these things. So a lot of people are coming up with some really, I say bizarre but different sort of stories. So I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention.
Are your own opinions on a subject like that, do they shift at all? Do they ever adjust to what you're learning?
I'm trying to incorporate what I've learned and trying to change the terminology a little bit, because it's not so much that I can use the same Catholic or sort of the old traditional terminology. I've gone so far to say I don't say God anymore, or the holy, like God as a patriarchal, like he, the holy, he as a masculine is more like, because I know God is not a man or a woman. It's an entity, right? It's a spirit. So I'll go. I've changed my way of saying the creator, of the universe, the creator of the center energy, the higher vibration. Yeah. So I just used a different terminology when I'm talking about certain things. I don't know why it's all staticky. Anyway.
Quit touching stuff. You're like a bad kid. Stop playing with your headphones.
Stop fiddling with it now.
Oh my God! What have I created? Okay.
Well, Sister Keeyah, on the lines, before we move too far from the subject, with the docuseries that you guys are planning and talking about women, in the history and religion and all of that. When you were called to convert, when you went from being, a white witch to sister, not a nun, sister. I understand there's a difference.
That's good that you know, because most people don't get that at all.
Well, I only know because of you. I listened to an interview you did before, and you explained it very well, and I'd love if you explained it again. But I was just curious, did you have to give anything up? Did you have to sacrifice anything?
Yeah, I had to cut Plato. No. Well, I mean, I had to give up, like, my witchy ways, right? Like, I mean, I totally had to change how I worshipped. And I gave away a lot of my stuff, like my supply kit. Like, I literally had a suitcase on wheels full of like resins and oils and incense and different colored candles, and a bell and an asthma, like, which is a dull dagger for ceremonial purposes. Like all the stuff that I had, I gave it to someone that I knew that was a witch, and they were like thrilled to get it because I had so much stuff. So very much stuff. So I got rid of that. But like I said, like, I kept my crystal ball. I don't practice divination with it. It's just really pretty. And same with the Ouija board. I never used it, but I think it's really cool that it was handmade from something from 1903. And the residual energy that must be a part of that is super interesting and cool. And I pray differently now than I did before. I pray more. It's funny because when I was a witch, nobody gave me any flack about being a witch, right? Nobody had an issue with it. But when I converted to Catholicism, a lot of people had a lot of stuff to run their mouths about, and it was just, to me, it was really bizarre that I'm like, I'm a sister and you're going to say that, like, somebody like was incredibly like, rawr, because I had makeup on, like a little bit of makeup on. And I'm like, I'm not a nun. I can wear a little bit of makeup. It's not a big deal, like, with my habit, because Lord knows a girl needs eyelashes and eyebrows, kind of thing. But, they were like more worried about my makeup than my spiritual self. And I'm just like, that's just not how the church rules. Like, I don't think God's gonna care if I have mascara on.
Yeah, there's there's a lot of I've had this all my life. And people look at the independent churches and they don't really see us as being valid or whatnot, and they don't understand there's a lot of history and a lot of politics that were involved, and there are various churches that are independent, very valid, very recognized by Rome as being valid. However, for whatever political reasons or historical reasons, they have broken apart, and what makes us valid, and what people don't seem to understand, is it's called, it's the same kind of thing with Sister Keeyah, with her association with the Reiki, and being fully connected with the creators. Likewise, what we call apostolic succession. It doesn't mean that I'm part of Rome, as long as I can verify that I am connected to one of the apostles, and mine is James. So it's like, as Jesus said, as the Father sent me, I sent you. He told the apostles, and you will do greater things than I. So I can, my lineage, I can follow back to every bishop that created a bishop, all the way back to the Apostle James, and of course James went west towards Spain, and then of course the Americas, and people had worked their way up to the South America to Mexico. That's why I'm part of the Mexican National Catholic Church. Now, I'm not Mexican by any means, but they kept the name Mexican because it was the reason why they broke apart historically was the Mexican Revolution. There's a Hollywood movie called For Greater Glory, which extremely describes that the Mexican government, the Mexican government at the time, back at the turn of the 10th century, wanted to oust the Catholic Church, and so all the bishops and all the priests fled, for the exception of a very select few, and the peasants fought back, and women were smuggling guns from the States over into Mexico, and they fought back, and they won. And when the revolution was over, the Catholic Church wanted to reinstill their bishop back into Mexico, and they said no. We wanted to keep our own archbishop, and at the time they asked the Pope if they could be autonomous, and the Pope says yes, and that's been documented. So the Pope said, yeah, you can be autonomous and you're separate, because you guys fought that revolution. They fled, and you guys remained and fought back. So we were still very much Catholic. Our bishops were Roman Catholic, but decided now to be independent, and that's why we kept there's the Mexican Catholic Church, and there's the Mexican National Catholic Church, and we kept that national part because they were the ones who remained and fought this revolution. So there's an actual historical basis for being independent. The Polish nationals have their own history. The Ukrainian nationals, the Greek nationals, the Coptic churches, these are all very much independent. The old Roman Catholic Church, which is very widespread now, they also had their historical backing. So again, it depends where you are, but it's the apostolic succession that makes me valid. It's not so much my association with anybody in particular. I mean, I've had many bishops consecrate me, the charismatic Catholics out of Connecticut, the Mexican nationals out of Texas and Mexico. So that's what makes us valid. And so people look at us and say, oh, you're independent, you're not part of Rome. So we get trash talked a lot, and they say, well, you're not Roman Catholic, you're just some internet Catholic, some bishop, whatever. And that's not the case at all. People need to do their homework, and they need to understand that we are valid. But what's beautiful about it is we're independent. I'm the highest authority. I'm a cardinal, and we don't have popes, in the independent Catholic Church. We have patriarchs, we have whatnot, and this is what makes us valid. So again, I think that's a benefit, because it allows you to really open up the doors to people who have wonderful gifts, and that just enriches everything. And I just continue to grow and learn about Reiki, learn about light workers, learn about the people who do crystal work. And I'm not an expert by any means.
I teach them all that stuff. So
Yeah, well,
Or he
yeah.
defers to me if someone asks him.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah,
yes,
yeah. Go,
that's more her
yeah,
jam. Like,
go. I now just say, just go talk to the girls. They're their bag. I don't do that.
Hey, it's not a bad idea to have, some experts in your pocket, somebody who knows so deeply about the subject. That's why you defer to these folks. But yeah, I think just to kind of pin that what you were saying, like I think your success rate, what you guys do when you're on your investigations and actually perform the exorcisms, you have a pretty good success rate with that, and I think that kind of speaks for itself. And
Mhm.
when we were speaking before. I remember really appreciating, and I sincerely appreciate it now, just this pairing that you do with you bring the traditional and the fundamental, like those values of
Mhm.
Catholicism, and you bring
Right.
it to this openness to the paranormal, to clairvoyance and abilities and sensitivities and all of that. Nothing is off the table. It's not there, you're not closing any doors here, and that can just only bring more people to
Mhm.
to you, and when they need
Right.
help. But with your uh investigations and with your exorcisms that you're performing, I was curious because it is this time of year. Do you guys notice like a rise in cases maybe around Halloween, or at least like certain times of the year?
No, I don't. I think it's growing throughout the year. I don't think Halloween has anything to do with it so much.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think I think people are really fixated on Halloween. I mean, in some places, I think Halloween is celebrated more than Christmas, and they put a lot more into it than Christmas, believe it or not. But it's not so much Halloween that brings it out. I think it's just people's intentions. I think people just are out there exploring new things, and they're exploring new things, doing their own thing. I think evil is starting to grow only because the economy is not great, the pandemic, the wars, the insecurities of are we going to have enough energy? Are we going to have enough money? Are we going to be able to pay our bills? Are our inflation rates going up? So I think there's just so much negativity, not intentional, but just fear mongering on the news. These kinds of things are really making people making people create this uncertainty, this uneasiness, and that in itself creates uh, enough negative energy, evil, if you want to call it. I mean, I don't think it's any particular time of the year. I just think it's just people as a whole are just starting to be really uncertain.
yeah, yeah. No, it does seem like there's an unnecessary extra heaviness nowadays. But
Yeah.
how I would love to revisit. I think we did last time. Kind of what do you guys do? What does the process look like when you go into a possible case?
well, there's a lot of behind the scene work before we even get to that point, right?
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot of paperwork that we have to go through. I usually speak to the person and do a reading. Um, we like to have people cleared by a medical doctor and by a psychiatrist, um, in case they're suffering. They can have mental illness and still be possessed, but to
Absolutely. Yeah.
to just make sure that what they're suffering from is, maybe they're schizophrenic and they've never been diagnosed and they're not medicated or what have you. And once they're kind of cleared that hurdle, um, then we start working with them to do homework because they have to be ready for the exorcism. So they're given prayers to say every day. They're given, we try and mail out the holy oil and the salt and the water for them with instructions about what to do with it and how to have a cleansing bath and what to do in your house and stuff. And we kind of, it's inclusive. Like, we can't go in and fix everything for everybody. They have to be part of their healing, and they have to change their lives because obviously it wasn't working before, right? Like, there's a reason that there's a demon in your life, kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
And we have to figure out that reason. That's helpful. Between Plato taking confession from people before an exorcism to me reading them, then we usually have a handle on that. And certainly people write and they're like, you're going to think I'm crazy. And it's like, no, we don't actually. Like, I mean, if I told you all the stuff that happened at my house when I was there, like the demon house, I call it, it was crazy, you know. And if I had said anything to the wrong person, they would have thought I was bananas.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I'm accepting of people's stories until um, proven otherwise. We assume it's the truth, and so they have to go forward with like cleansing baths and going to mass, and which may be uncomfortable for them, you know, because just because of being surrounded by religious artifacts and priests and you know that sort of thing. And we work on it, and then when we do an exorcism, it usually takes, I mean, it's usually a day, a full day, like an 18-hour day kind of thing. And we start at the outside and work our way in. So we salt the property line and around the house. We bury blessed medallions at the corners of the houses. You know, we kind of like are working in to trap it so it can't get out. And then the house is sprinkled with salt. The windows and the doors are have crucifixes drawn on them and holy oil. You know, we Plato has beautiful incense that you can only get from monks. Where is it, Plato? That your incense?
It's somewhere in Patras, Greece. It's the monks actually live in the mountain there. Ever see the James Bond movie? You know, For Your Eyes Only. There was a mountain where you're going to go up with a basket, and there were monks up there. They don't come down. They actually make the incense. They break up the stones, and that's how they make their money. They break it up. But it's the most lavish smelling, perfumey kind of really church incense. It's just wonderful. These monks are very holy. They actually have the original book of John from the Bible, the original manuscript that was written, and they protect it. So it's that's where I pick it up. I mean, I've got so much of it now. I go there. I don't get it every year. I have friends or family, I go over to Greece. I'll have to go pick it up. But it's. I mean, I use the real. I don't cheap out. I get the good stuff for people. You know. But I mean, like, yeah, just to follow what you're saying is we really do a lot of investigative work. We interview the people. We want to know that they're serious about what they want to do. It's important we get the consent that this is what they want, because without consent, it's not going to work. We do the medical background checks. We get them to do site consents. I mean, both Keeyah and I myself are nurses, so during the process, we'll do vitals. We do blood pressure. We monitor them. We see how they are. Through the process, we stop and give them a rest if we need to.
I usually go through and do a complete health history with them.
Yeah, medications,
what
everything.
medications they're on,
Yeah.
and you know what conditions they are suffering from, and you know, because we have to protect ourselves too, right?
Right.
So that we don't end up getting sued by someone.
Yeah, we've got like liability forms they sign off on. But I mean, I also will bring, like, if there's a woman that needs to be exercised, I make sure there's women present for their dignity. For their dignity, there's so much that's involved. It isn't like we get a phone call and say, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm in my car. I'll be there in 5 minutes." There's a lot of preparatory work. Now, mind you, it's a little quicker than what the Vatican would go through. It might take you 2 years before you see somebody. But for us, I'll be honest. On average, it will take a couple of months. We want to make sure they're serious, that they're vetted properly, and that they're actually doing the homework. We actually send them homework. I'll send them prayers to do, and then to say, I want them to go to church. I say, do you have a crucifix in your house? Get one on the wall. Get a Bible. Start reading as a family. And when I start seeing that they're actually doing some of the things that we're asking them to do, then we know that they're serious. Then we make the trip to do what we have to do. So there's a fair bit of stuff to do, but we want to make sure that they're serious, because they don't understand that we're only there one day. Once we're done, we're gone. Like, then their journey continues. It's not like, okay, we fix your problem, you go your merry way, and it's all done. It's not like Harry Potter, we wait a while and it's done. They have to continue with their journey. Continue doing what you're doing and stay with it.
Right.
Don't go back to your errant ways as to what caused the problem. We want to make sure that your journey continues on, because it's actually their journey. It's not ours. People ask me, what is an exorcist? And sometimes I come up with this terminology. I say, I'm just there and Keeyah, we're there to get your free will back. That you've lost it somewhere. Either you gave it, or you inadvertently or directly. But I was there to get your free will back, give it to you, and now you take it and you run with it. It's your journey now. You protected it. It's your free will. It's your soul. So I'm there just to get it back for you that you've lost. That's really all we do. And then then we're there for the support. As they're going forward, as they need help, they call us up. But I find, the fact that I go in, and a lot of priests will go in and sometimes go various days. We'll go there with several days to do something. But by bringing people like Keeyah and other members who are gifted, we can go in. I send them out. Okay, tell me what you see. Okay, so and so did this, and that's how he came in. He brought it in. He got attached to this person and whatnot. Then it gives me a plan of care. How am I going to approach this? How we're all going to do this? I find we only have to make one visit because we figure out what the problem is, what happened, who brought it in, and let's change this up. And then when we leave, that's why it's an all-day event. Once we're there,
because we're doing everything in the house with the salt, the water, the oil. Even the animals are protected. Like we put holy oil, make a crucifix, a sign of a crucifix on animals. Like I've put holy oil on a gerbil before because it's a living vessel, right? And you don't want it to jump out of the person that you're trying to help and have it jump into someone or some other something else.
That would be terrifying for me. I love my animals as if they are children. It's it's unnatural how much I love them. To think that something like that could happen, that they're at risk.
Nobody leaves the house. Nobody leaves the house. Like people say, open the window and let them out and do your sage, let them out. No, it's not. We do the whole house. I tell them no one leaves the house, not the animals, not the children, the family, everybody involved stays in the home, and we work our way in. And then get rid of it that way. I've had people try to leave. I said, no, you need to stay because that's the person who brought it in, and they're trying to get out. No. So it's basically everybody's encased, and we box them in a sort of a bubble, and then we work our way in until we find the problem, and then weed it out. That way, and then no one leaves with any attachments, no one leaves with any issues. But other people work the other way. They just open the window, sage everything out, go out the door. Well, that's not great because they're going to go down the street and attack the next vulnerable person. So that's the sort of the approach I take with Keeyah and others. So.
Stay tuned for part 2 of this conversation, where we will pick up right where we left off on Tuesday. We get into some incredible stories about encountering an incubus and shadow figures while Sister Keeyah lived in what she calls a demon house, how paranormal investigators might inadvertently be consenting to attachments from negative entities, how Archbishop Plato recommends getting rid of those attachments, and their experience blessing the Warrens' Occult Museum. All links to follow and subscribe to my guest socials and YouTube channel can be found below. They are going to be doing some incredible stuff over there that you're not going to want to miss. Please rate and review this show if you loved this episode and want to see more just like it. I'm a woman of the people. I'm listening. And I hear you. And I very much appreciate it. I feel the need to mention that our season on psychics and mediums will be coming to an end oh so shortly. That means a conclusion episode is in our sights, where we will revisit all that we have learned this season, and I will put it all together, wrapped up in a shiny bow of newfound knowledge and personal opinion for the season finale. And once that is done, a new season will be upon us. What does that mean? How does this affect me in any way, you might wonder? Well, like I said, I'm a woman of the people. I would like all y'all's input as to what we should investigate next. It's a big ol' paranormal world out there, ripe for the picking of any one subject. So, start sending your suggestions for Season 5 subject to paranormgirlpod@gmail.com or message me on any social @paranormgirlpod, and I'll announce the winning topic at the finale. That's gonna do it for now. Catch part 2 next week. It's getting oh so close to Halloween. The veil between the living and the dead grows thin, the air colder, the days darker, the mysterious more alive. So, stay safe, keep the nightlight on, and sleep with one eye open.